So, Sunday morning. I should really be on top of one of Scotland's most iconic mountains. Instead I'm here, taking the kayak off the roof. It's done a wee trip on top of my car for 400 miles and never came off the roof. And it didn't go across a flat, calm loch either. A bit of a pain. Anyway, I'm going to spend the next probably couple of hours unpacking all this gear that I didn't use. Bloody shame. Instead we had a rather miserable hike up to Munros. Well, just spent the last probably 2.5 hours tidying up and putting away all that kayaking gear and camping gear and stoves and food that I never used. As I said when I was out of the car, the plan was to head up Suilven, and when we made these plans, it was earlier in the week and the forecast was actually looking pretty good for Assynt. There wasn't much wind forecast. There was some rain forecast to come later in the day, so we'd hatched our plans to go to Suilven and kayak in, spend the night underneath the mountain and then make an early morning assault before kayaking back out. But it didn't happen. So where did we go? Well, we decided to do the only 2 Munros in the area. And the weather, to give you a bit of background, so when we pitched up at the loch to go up Suilven, it wasn't going to happen. The wind had, it was quite a stiff northwesterly breeze, and that was coming down the length of the loch, and we would have been paddling straight into it. And when we looked at the loch, there was white horses in the waves, really choppy. It would have been an really unpleasant and hard paddle to get. I mean, you're paddling for about 10 kilometres up that loch, so it would have been wouldn't have been fun. So we decided to go for a plan B, and it was just, I didn't enjoy the sight, if I'm being perfectly honest. And there's a number of reasons which I'll probably go through in the video as to why it was just a bit of a nightmare, and the reason why I'm sat here on the Sunday as opposed to on the top of Suilven. So without further ado, we'll cut to me in the car at the bottom of the route to the 2 Munros in pretty dreich weather. Well, we're on plan B again. We've driven up to the north of Scotland, and the plan was, I don't know if you saw it, but we've got the kayak on the roof, and we had an epic adventure plan to kayak into that iconic mountain, Suilven. And we got up, and it was blowing a hoolie when we parked the car, so we walked down to the loch and it was right in the wrong direction. We would have been paddling into a gale force wind with waves on the loch and what have you. So we've reverted to plan B, and the rain started now just before we start the walk, and we're going to go up the Munros, Inchnadamph, Conival and Ben Assynt more. I've done these before, did these in a thunderstorm actually. We're going to head up here tonight and then find somewhere to stop over, and then tomorrow maybe do something else in the area. I quite fancy doing Kayak. I've not been up that hill yet, but let's see what happens, see how I feel after going up these Munros. Right, let's go and brave the elements. Things weren't looking too bad as we left Inchnadamph, and we headed up the road on the other side of the river and across the river. And soon we were heading along, and on the walk into the hill, there's a good 5 or 6 kilometre hike before you reach the base of the hill. So we've come up the hill a wee bit, and it's still raining. Jerry's just getting his filling up with some water, because the plan had been to fill up with the water at the loch and below Suilven, wasn't it? But we're heading up these Munros, just Conival and Ben Assynt, because it's such a lovely evening. We're pretty sure the sun's going to come out in a wee while.
Definitely.
In fact, I can see the base of the clouds just behind me there. I'm sure it's rising as we go up. It's not. The rain's still pissing it down. But yeah, it's just good to be out, isn't it? So
yeah, better than drowning in Loch
So we'll head on and see how far we go. Let's go. On we trudged. Our heads were down as the rain battered off them, and we headed up Glen Dhu following the river Tralligill, which has sort of gouged this nice gorge out and gave us quite a bit of shelter from the winds. As I said earlier, when we looked at the loch for kayaking, it was quite a strong northwesterly breeze, but Walking along this glen, it was actually quite pleasant. There was quite a bit of shelter to be had from it, and the river was tumbling down over some falls. It was really quite, yeah, it was quite pleasant at this point. The misery hadn't yet started. That's us out of the gorge. We're on the hill now, aren't we, Jerry? That's
lovely weather.
Cracking day. Could have brought the kayaks up, couldn't we? So up until this point, it wasn't too bad. It was raining, but we were low down. There was about a 5 or 6 kilometre walk into the base of the hill, and the winds were strong, but we were kind of sheltered in this kind of gorge which the river had made, and we were following this babbling brook. I mean, it was pissing it down, but the wind wasn't too bad, and yeah, we'd cracked on. But from here on in, it just started to get, yeah, this is where I really wasn't enjoying myself. And the first thing that went wrong was I'd bought brand new boots for a trip. I'm going to Switzerland in a month or two, and I thought I'll break them in when I go to Suilven, because that'll be a nice wee short day from the campsite we'd planned, because obviously we were kayaking and we weren't walking all the way in. Nice wee short trip up there and break them in and what have you. I wasn't really planning on breaking them in these 2 Munros with a big long walk, well, not a long walking, but a relatively long walking. And as I started to go uphill, I was stopping and starting. You don't see it in the video, but I was trying to get the lacing right. They weren't too bad. To be fair, they did pretty well given the conditions. And the weather was crap. I mean, they should really tell you when the weather's going to be like this, especially on a mountain. They shouldn't allow you to go on the hills when it's like this. It's shocking. It was bloody miserable. Anyway, here's us going up the hill. At this point there was some lovely waterfalls, but I wasn't really paying attention to them because my feet were aching and they were going through their own waterfall. The paths were well eroded, and with this amount of rain the river was actually coming down the path. Anyway, we soon reached the Bielach and the wind got even stronger, and it seemed like the rain got stronger, so I was quite cold, so it was time to get another layer on, get the gloves on. I even had my goggles on, my woolly hat, the whole shebang. The only thing I didn't have was my waterproof trousers, which I was regretting. But yeah, all that said, we cracked on and made our way up towards the summit of Conival, which was the first Munro. Pretty rocky and rough ground up here it was too. After a rather unpleasant ascent, we finally saw the summit of Conival emerging out of the mist, and I was kind of glad to see it, to be honest with you. So we stopped here and evaluated our plans. Here we are at the summit of Conival, and it's lovely weather, as you can see. The mist is swirling around us, the rain's coming and going, and it's quite cold for me actually. See, we've got the gloves on, goggles on. And yeah, we're just deciding on whether we're going to head over to Assynt now, which is about a couple of kilometres over the ridge. We have to go there and back again, so we're going to make a decision soon and head off. Our decision was made to crack on, and we headed along the rocky, airy ridge towards Assynt. So we made the summit of Conival, and it sits about, I don't know, just under 1,000 metres, maybe 980 metres or what have you. And it was pretty miserable up there, you know, the wind was howling. But the next thing that made this trip super miserable wasn't just the rain, but it was the high winds. I mean, who would have thought it? High winds in a mountain. And the next section to Assynt is along a ridge, and it doesn't dip below 840 metres. And that ridge, I mean, there was hardly a path on it. It was like a boulder field. I mean, it was about as bad as Schiehallion. In fact, it was worse than Schiehallion. I mean, they should put a warning at the bottom that there might be rocks up there and there's not going to be a flat. I mean, why is there not a tarmac surface up there? It was horrendous. And the wind's going across the ridge. Who would have thought it? A ridge between 2 Munros sitting above 840 metres. There should be a warning down there. You know, it might be windy up there. It might blow you off your feet. No path and windy. Bloody miserable. And if you've not got your waterproof trousers, if you happen to leave them in the car and you're soaked, your trousers start to fall down, because when you're making the big steps on the rocks, your knees catch the material. I mean, that's another thing. Why don't the companies tell you that when you buy them? You should come with a warning. Do not wear these trousers if you're going to be on a ridge line high in the mountain with gale force winds and you're soaking wet. There's a chance that you might expose your backside. I mean, poor Jerry, what happened? Anyway, miserable, absolutely miserable. Anyway, here's us reaching the top of Assynt. I nearly get knocked off my feet, by the way, with that wind. Can't believe there wasn't a warning at the bottom. Shocking. Absolutely shocking. So Jerry took the lead as we headed towards the top of Assynt. I think he was just a bit scared in case my trousers fell down again. He didn't want to see the results of that. Anyway, we're soon near the top and it was super windy. So windy that it nearly knocked me off my feet. But I did regain myself and eventually made it to the summit, where we didn't stay long and started to head down and seek out a wee bit of shelter so we could just get the maps out, figure out where we were and try and cheer ourselves up and stop being so miserable. So not far from the main summit, there's another wee peak that looks like it could be the summit, but it's not. It's the more northerly one, which is the top. But we headed along to this peak anyway because it looked like we might be able to get a bit of shelter underneath it from that biting wind, and we certainly found that, which actually wasn't too bad behind there. And we stopped there, had a bite to eat, got the maps out, checked the timings, and just had a chat before deciding what to do next. So we're just off the summit of Assynt Moor. And my god, it's windy, isn't it, Jerry? We've just got a wee bit of shelter behind us. It's not a summit, but oh no, it's a wee house, isn't it?
A bit full on.
It was full on, yeah. Nearly got blown over on the summit over there, so it's about 7:10 now. We've got about 2.5, 3 hours of daylight, so we're going to take some bearings, get off the hill.
Give me a tutorial on how to change your jacket in a breeze. 1 arm at a time.
1 hour at a time. And yeah, I think we're actually just going to call it a day and head down. We did have grand plans to do Kayak tomorrow, but the forecast isn't brilliant, and the thought of a warm bed. Warm bed.
Have so much fun.
We'll have so much fun. This is great. I'm loving it. Who said this is fun? I'm done. Hill walking, no more. But yeah, pretty wild, and wild for May anyway. British summertime. Here we go, love it. So enough talking, we're going to get off the hill safely, get back to the cars, warm up.
Tell them what time it is.
It's 7:10. So 2 hours till sunset, so we've probably got about 45 minutes to an hour after that daylight before we need our torches, so
plenty of time.
We'll be fine. Right, wee bit deep here, then off we go. So off we went, and it was the same route back and the same amount of misery. Just listen to that wind. Absolutely miserable. Right, Jerry. A view. Look at that. We've got a view.
How many hours have we been walking for?
How many hours?
10 to 9, and we started at that's 5 hours.
5 hours at a good pace. We've not really stopped apart from the talk. So. Aye, so we're glad that we're seeing stuff now. Well, I say seeing stuff, not hallucinating. Well, we might be hallucinating. We're still in the fog. That's where we've come out of up there. And that's what we can see now.
I can see a big coffee pot. Can you see a big coffee pot?
Oh, I think so. Coffee! Right, just another 5 kilometres to go. So we were finally back down into the lowlands. And because our hike had been so miserable, we'd already decided it was going to be a drive home tonight. Our grand plans for the weekend were scuppered as the forecast wasn't looking as good. I think the deer were having a laugh at our expense as well. They hadn't bothered going high up in the hill. I wonder why. So we'd finally made it back to the car. And as you saw, we only got the views in the last sort of 5 or 6 kilometres in the walk back there. I mean, what's the point? You know, you go up there, I mean, once again, they don't tell you that. They should, I mean, you see these YouTube videos of folk going up mountains and beautiful sunrises and beautiful sunsets. They don't prepare you for that. A walk in the clouds with no views. I mean, that's shocking. They should come with a warning. That's another thing. You know, it's just... I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. I might never go hiking again after that. Anyway, after a 400 mile trip in the car, well, it wasn't 400 miles, it was a 400 mile round trip. We got back to the car having had no views, my feet were sore, the weather was crap. You know, my trousers were just about falling down every time I took a step. What else was wrong with me? Yeah, I'm probably still getting eaten by ticks. Who knows? Midges. Just why? I don't know, but they don't tell you about these things. Anyway, the last thing, I'm knackered. I'd been up since 5 o'clock that morning. I then had to drive all the way home. 3.5. It wasn't 3. It was 4.5 hours, because when I went home, I couldn't go any faster than about 45 miles an hour because there was deer on the road. I mean, deer on the road. Don't tell you about that either, do you? Anyway, heading home, there was one last 2-finger salute from Assynt to us. I suppose about 10 minutes after leaving the car park, the skies cleared for a bit, just to give us a hint of the sunset, and it was the only photograph I took. I was up there from 5 o'clock till, that was nearly 21 hours I was awake. I only took 3 photographs. I don't get it. Anyway, here's the drive home, and I got home just on the back at 2 AM, having been up since 5. So after stopping to take the only photographs of the day, the only thing that was left to do was that 4.5 hour deer dodging drive home.